Here we have Alpha Strike issue 2 from 1983. Alpha Strike are a Canadian superhero team, and this issue is written and drawn by Jason Byrne, and it largely focuses on Alpha Strike member Ashlyn. She was also briefly an Avenger in the late 80s. And maybe, just maybe, I am doing this story to set up doing a story in Avengers that focuses on her. Who can say what I am planning? Me. I can say. I have said this before, but of all of Jason Byrne's work, I think Alpha Strike is objectively the best. That's not to denigrate his Fantastic Force or West Coast Avengers runs, but I say so because Alpha Strike is the most complete. This is a series he left on his own accord. He didn't have a tantrum and storm off mid-story. He was given relative freedom to do whatever he wanted in this series. He could do just about anything with these characters, other than having Northman say he was gay, which he still cheekily had in the comics anyway. A common gripe with the series under Jason Byrne is that we didn't get to see all the team together that much. Many of the stories focus on specific members or smaller groupings. Like after this training sequence at the start, this story arc mainly focuses on Ashlyn. I understand the frustrations. There are certain characters on the team I didn't give a rat's arse about. But I think one thing to applaud is actually the innovation that Jason Byrne was presenting. He was doing a team book where the team itself was kept apart. It made those stories where they were all there more landmark. This was the first major series to turn away from the conventional idea of nearly every teammate being in every issue. Issue 5, for example, just as Warwick Davis. I think it was honestly the right call too, because it allows the characters to appeal individually, or try to appeal individually. If you had them all together in every story, you would just gravitate to the same ones you like, rather than giving Ashlyn a fair chance. During training, Ashlyn gans feral and nearly disembowels Warwick Davis. She has issues. And by this point, you might think I'm doing an exceptionally poor job of recapping this story by not explaining who or what Ashlyn is. But the story itself gets into that, so I'm going to play it like the issue does, where you learn about her as it goes along. After her lashing out, she retreats into the ocean, partially out of shame, but mainly because she feels something summoning her, something calling out to her. Here is a hospital scene with plenty of dialogue that dispels the notion that Warwick Davis is in any way mystically empowered or has a demon sword in his head. Over the years, I have had a lot of comments from people who like this character here. If any of those people who like this character are still watching, if you didn't mind, can you explain down below why exactly? I like her powers, didn't get us wrong. I think her powers are both unique and a fun visual. They were also ripped off wholesale by Kurt Busey for one of his amazing original creations. As a character, I have always found her to be very, very lacking. I also had to do some research, and I didn't think I had ever named her before, surprisingly. I do have to do more research before I commit to a name for her. These things are not to be done lightly. So the team, they gone off in search of Ashland, where we get Gladiator telling us a backstory, or rather what he knows of it. Some sailors found a weird glowing egg in the ocean, and one of them took it home with them. And then the egg, eventually, it did a hatch, and out came Ashland. Cute little amphibian creature, Ashland. And the family raised it as a daughter. It is here where we establish that she grew quickly, and while she looks 16, which is still illegal regardless, while she looks 16, mentally she is a lot younger. No matter how you dice it, Seaman marrying her is fucking creepy. This story ends with the reveal that Ashland has been following the call of Master of the Universe. I fucking love this character. He is one of my favourite things about Alpha Strike even. I love this villain. I'm not under any false impressions either. This character is a total rip-off of Macho Man Vandal Savage from DC. But that's fine with me. I've always said, if you're going to rip something off, rip off something good. And they gave him a cape as well. We get more on him in the next issue. And after that cliffhanger, we have a second feature, a backup story, which shows us Gladiator's origin, how he created his armour, how he met his future wife, and how he was betrayed by the government department that he was working for. I didn't mind these backup origin stories in Alpha Strike. All these characters didn't have any backstory before the series. And so it's much better to show it here than to simply tell it. There is an advertisement I suspect some will really like and feel nostalgic for. With this issue, like a lot of Alpha Strike, we didn't quite have the formulaic story beats of a standard comic. The superheroes didn't fight a bad guy in this. They didn't do much, really. But I think that is part of its charm. We are getting an original book here, and it works tremendously in the favour of these characters who could be very flat and mediocre with straightforward superhero plots. That's not to say that what we get isn't classic superhero stories. They are just paced and structured and planned a bit differently than the rest of the books were at the time. I think Alpha Strike by Jason Byrne probably is partially responsible for the genesis of decompression, but this isn't decompressed. It's only the story and its pacing that feels that way. We are getting plenty of stuff, but it's on a slower than usual journey. I am not conflicted in the slightest in giving it 7 thumbs up.